Today on the Bandrew Says podcast, we're not going to be talking about any news, so if you just got some time to kill or want to virtually hang out, go ahead and stick around. All right, like I mentioned, I am not going to be talking about any news. I am not saying there is no news. I am saying that I'm not talking about any of it. A lot of it is depressing, and this is a hobby podcast for me that I do for fun, and if the news that is out there is not fun, I'm going to find something to talk about that I do find fun. And there are plenty of people who do a much better job talking about general technology news than me. So go find them, seek them out. There wasn't any huge creator news that was worth talking about, which is why I'm talking about something that I find enjoyable. And that is the concept of buy it for life. This is a rabbit hole I dove down maybe 5 years ago and found out I cannot afford this. And it's a rabbit hole that I have recently dove down again. If you don't know what the concept of buy it for life is, it's pretty self-explanatory, but it is buying an item that is of high quality that will last you the rest of your life. Hence, buy it for life. And I wanted to talk about this and share my philosophy behind it, or at least why I have really been enjoying exploring items that I could buy for life. And maybe that will awaken something within you, or maybe it will interest you. I don't know if the BIFL community, the BIFL, Buy It For Life community, shares these same thoughts as me, but this is what I have thought about, or how I have justified paying a little bit of extra money for higher quality items that will last me for a much longer period of time. And feel free to tell me in the comments on YouTube what your justification for buying something for life is. The first one that I came up with is financial in nature. I am a finance guy, so when it comes to making purchasing decisions, a lot of those purchasing decisions are based on finances. And that is, in the long term, buying something that is of higher quality typically will end up being cheaper. To explain this, or to provide an example of this, I will go to an example I've used in the past. Let's say you're at the shop, you have two options for t-shirts. One costs $5 and it is made very poorly and it will fall apart after 1 year. Another option is $10 and it is built of higher quality and it will last for 5 years. Now, let's imagine there are two people who buy each of those shirts. After 5 years, the person who continuously buys the lower quality product will have to replace that shirt every year. $5 every year over 5 years, $25. While the person who just bought one t-shirt that is of higher quality for $10 after 5 years has only spent $10. So there is going to be long-term savings, a higher initial investment, but a long-term savings. That's the difficulty of a lot of this stuff. It takes significantly higher upfront cost. And there is actually a theory about this. I can never remember what it's called, but somebody mentioned it to me on Twitter. It's that people who are not able to invest in higher quality products are doomed to be financially punished because they can't afford that higher quality product. If you can't buy high quality boots that will last you 5 years, you're going to have to buy lower quality boots that will fall apart after 1 year, every single year. And after 5 years, you've ultimately spent more money because you are not in a financial position to front that initial investment. And I can't remember what that's called, but that's just something to consider. This stuff is going to be more expensive. And unfortunately, based on society and the desire for everybody to get the lowest common denominator, that has almost incentivized companies to focus on that as opposed to making higher quality items more affordable. The second reason why I have really enjoyed going down this road is the environmental impact of buying stuff that will last forever. To use a similar example, let's say you need a flashlight. If you buy a high-quality flashlight, you'll use it for 50 years. If you buy a low-quality flashlight, those will last 10 years, then you have to replace it. After those 50 years, you have now thrown away 5 flashlights. But not only that, you need to take into account the manufacturing cost, you need to take into account the shipping cost, and the packaging that goes into selling a flashlight. So now you have contributed a bunch of unnecessary waste, which is harmful to the environment. You've also contributed additional pollution due to the manufacturing of 5 items as opposed to 4, or as opposed to 1 rather. You're buying 1 as opposed to 5. So that is another thing to consider. If you are concerned about the environment, sometimes investing in a higher quality item will be more beneficial, will decrease your carbon footprint if you want to put it in those terms. So buying a higher quality pen that is made of metal that I can replace the ink cartridge in will be significantly better for the environment than buying a $5.50 pack of Bic disposable pens that I will throw away after a year, after I use all of them. That's 50 pieces of waste that are now filling a landfill, as opposed to 1 item that will not go into a landfill. So if you're concerned about the environment, the BIFL, the buy it for life mentality may be a good option for you. Third, this is the corniest and stupidest idea that I came up with, but it's almost counterculture now to buy stuff that lasts long, to buy stuff for life. And I know that sounds stupid, but it's mainly in the fashion sense. It makes you inherently uncool, unhip, unfashionable to buy stuff that lasts for life, because fashion, when I think of quick consumerism, I think of fast fashion. You buy an outfit for extremely cheap from H&M or Forever 21 or Target that is hip for 1 year, you put it in your closet for 2 to 3 years, and then you donate it or throw it away. And then you do that every single year. That seems expensive, it seems wasteful, and it seems kind of stupid. To each their own, do with your money whatever you want, but to me it seems much more enjoyable and rewarding to find a t-shirt and a pair of jeans and a pair of shoes that you enjoy and buy them and wear them for 10, 15 years until they're fallen apart. And instead of replacing them when you get a hole in a high-quality pair of jeans or a high-quality t-shirt, sew it up. Get it fixed. If you don't know how to sew like me, take it to a tailor. Have them fix it for you. And pay a couple of bucks as opposed to investing another 50 or $100 in a pair of jeans or 20 bucks in a t-shirt. Have them fix it up for you and save some money and save some waste. So to me, it is inherently counterculture to be wearing something that is of high quality and you will wear for 5 to 10 years, because you are just sticking up a big middle finger to the entire fashion industry as those around you change their clothes to fit whatever the current trend is. You're going to be like Old Faithful. Oh, there's Bandrew in his jeans and black t-shirt. What a boring loser that guy is. Yeah, you're right. But guess who has more money in their bank account now because I'm not buying new clothes every year? Who's the loser now? Dummy. So it's inherently counterculture in my mind, and that just gives me a little bit of joy. It's probably not actually counterculture, but in my mind, it helps me justify it and feel a little bit cooler. Just the idea of sticking up a middle finger to all these massive fashion corporations saying, "You're not going to get my money every year, suckers." It's fun for me. And the last reason why I like the buy it for life mentality is it allows you to develop memories with these items because they last a long time, but also it allows you, or affords you rather, the opportunity to invest in a high quality product to commemorate an accomplishment or a milestone in your life. Now, it may not seem like the best idea to develop emotional ties to items because it's just stuff. And if you develop an overly emotional attachment to a pen and you lose that pen, it's going to bum you out. So it's important to keep that in context, or keep your emotional ties to items in check, because it is just a thing. They will inherently break sometimes. You will inherently lose them sometimes. Maybe some of them will get stolen, but having some emotional tie to them makes it a bit more enjoyable to use. I have zero emotional tie to a Bic pen that I picked up at work and wrote notes with. But the pen that I use now, it's a Fisher Space Pen. It's a little bit more expensive, or a lot more expensive than a Bic pen, but it has an engraving on there from Fisher Space Pen to commemorate an accomplishment, a milestone in my life. Now when I'm taking notes at work, I can look down and think about, oh, look at that accomplishment of actually doing something that I enjoy in my free time and accomplishing something that I'm truly proud of. It's these little moments that allow you to enjoy life a little bit more. Now, would it be a bummer if I lost it? Sure. But would I be heartbroken? Would I just cry in a corner? No. Because excuse the expression, it's a pen. It's a pen. It's a thing. It's an effing watch. Who cares if it actually gets lost or stolen or anything? But having the ability to look down and remember or think of something else really seems valuable to me. And I know that's another corny idea, but it's something that brings me a bit of joy, and this life is painful without having nothing that brings you joy. So that's the last reason why I have really gotten into it, and why maybe you would enjoy it. I guess let's talk about a couple of items that may be a good entry point for buy it for life mentalities or philosophies or approaches or whatever the hell you want to call it, buy it for life lifestyles. Because I'm an audio guy, let's talk about that. Audio gear. A lot of audio gear is inherently built to an extremely high quality point, and it lasts you an incredibly long time. Look at guitars. Guitars last decades. Microphones last for decades. Think about how many SM7Bs there are out there. Think about Frank Sinatra's microphone. Think about AKG C12s. Think about U67s, U87s, U47s. Those microphones sometimes are 60 plus years old, and they're still being used. They are built to an incredibly high quality, an incredibly high standard, and it makes it so you can use them for an incredibly long time. I've been using this SM7B since 2015, so over 6 years at this point, and it shows no signs of stopping. And if it does break, I'll send it back to Shure and have them repair it. They better not replace it. I do not want a replacement. I want this specific microphone repaired, and then I want it back. And that's another thing you can do. You can just get stuff repaired. No need to replace it. But audio gear, microphones, guitars, guitar amps, guitar pedals, outboard preamps, a lot of stuff. Excluding a lot of digital stuff. A lot of digital stuff has a shorter lifespan. Like audio interfaces, those have a relatively short lifespan compared to analog audio gear. Interfaces may last 10 years until it's obsolete and doesn't function with the current I/O or the current computers you're using. But other than audio gear, other affordable stuff, a pocket knife. You can get a pretty affordable pocket knife and get a long life out of it. I have a Swiss Army knife, a Victorinox Swiss Army knife. This is the Swiss Army knife Executive. The Executive. And this was a gift from my father. This is maybe 12 years old at this point. But it is held up well. It was on my keychain for years. Now it just goes into my coin pocket or pocket watch pocket, whatever that small pocket in your jeans is for, and it is a very useful tool. It's not something that I just carry for sentimental reasons. It is useful. It has scissors, it has a knife, it has tweezers, it has a toothpick, and the quirky thing about the Swiss Army Executive is the fact that it has an orange peeler on it. It has an effing orange peeler on it. What kind of who needs that? What executive was thinking, I would love a Swiss Army knife, but the one thing it's missing is a way to peel my oranges so that my entire pocket knife becomes sticky and then it attracts lint in my pocket. I don't know what executive was begging for that, but it's a quirky thing. So a pocket knife, a Swiss Army knife, can range you from $20 to $100. I already mentioned this. Pens. You could get a cross pen for $20. Those are extremely high quality and very popular. Really thin though. Kind of strange to write with cross pens. You could get a Mont Blanc. Those are very, very expensive fountain pens. You could get a Jogger. I cannot remember who makes the Jogger. That is a very popular pen as well. Or you could go Fisher Space Pen. I really like the AG7s currently. They're not as carryable. They're not as compact as the Fisher Space Pen Bullet, which are about $20 and also a really great item, really well built, and same replacement ink cartridges, so you will have that same longevity there. But the AG7 is what was actually taken up into space. This was what was designed for space use, and that just brings me a ton of joy. It makes me so happy because I used to be a huge space nerd. I went to college because I wanted to become an astronomer. Then I realized, oh, you need astrophysics. I'm an idiot. I'm too dumb for this. So I switched majors. I realized, I'm not going to be able to do that. I'm too stupid for this. I still enjoy space. I just don't keep up with it. And having something like this is just a constant reminder, space is neat. This was designed to go into space. The ingenuity of whatever Fisher, his name Fisher, whatever it is. Really a lot of fun. And this was engraved to commemorate a subscriber milestone for my new watch channel. How fun is that? What else? Wallets. Wallets aren't necessarily buy it for life, but these are items you will buy and use for decades if you get a high quality one. I used to use a saddleback leather wallet. I found the leather to be too thick. It started to damage my cards. Really wasn't my cup of tea. I have a pocket shield. I don't know the brand name, but it is a thin wallet, a thin minimalist front pocket wallet. And I used this for 5 or 6 years, I think, and I just retired it and replaced it. So calling it a buy it for life item when I just replaced a perfectly good wallet is kind of silly. But it's because I have changed my approach to what I carry. For the longest time, all I carried was cards, and I paid with cards. But I have become increasingly more paranoid, and now I see advertisements on social media for items that I have never looked for on a computer, I have never searched for on Amazon or any website, I have never looked them up on my phone, I have only purchased them with a credit card. And I am getting advertisements for those, and that makes me think that my purchasing history on those credit cards is being sold off to marketing firms and being used to market to me. So I needed to get a proper bifold wallet so that I can carry cash and I can pay in cash and avoid that kind of creepy tracking that will make me actually go around wearing a tinfoil hat. I don't want to become that guy. And getting a bifold wallet is something you can do. And you could get a good wallet for maybe $50 to $100, and it will last you decades. A cheap $20 thin, crappy leather wallet has lasted me 6 years and still works perfectly fine. It just doesn't fit my needs anymore. So if you get a saddleback leather wallet or something, then you're good for decades. What else is there? Watches. This is what really set me down this path again, and it's because there's this romanticism behind it. Watches are items that are completely unnecessary. We all have cell phones. The cell phones tell us the time, and the cell phones are going to be more accurate in terms of time when compared to any kind of wristwatch, unless it's a smartwatch. If you're looking at quartz watches, mechanical watches, anything, the smartphone, I'm burping now, is going to be inherently more accurate. But there's something romantic about buying something that you wear on your body that you can wear for 20, 30, 40 years. It will serve a purpose. It does serve a purpose. May not be the most accurate tool for serving that purpose, but it does serve a purpose. And it will last you for that long, and you can develop memories as you get dings and scratches and bumps and whatever's on it. And then when you're done wearing it, if you have offspring, to put it as distant as possible, if you have children, you can pass it down to your children. And there's something romantic about that idea. there's not much that men have that they can wear and develop memories with and then pass that on. Watches are one of the few things. Women can do that with jewelry in general and watches, but men don't really wear jewelry unless they're good fellas. And let me put it straight, I'm not a good fella. I'm not a good fella, so I can't walk around wearing a gold chain. It just doesn't work on me. So it's a watch or nothing. A watch and a wallet and a pen and a knife or nothing. And that's about it in terms of the entry-level stuff that I was looking at. Bags are another really interesting one, but the bags do start to get quite expensive. And talking about expense, watches, you don't have to get a super expensive watch to make it buy it for life. You can buy a $20 Casio that will last you decades. And those Casios are incredible. They are incredible, incredible tools. They are used by terrible people to accomplish terrible tasks because they are built so well. Look up the Casio F91W and some of the most infamous people who use it. Terrible, terrible people, but they are killer watches. Great watches. Maybe I shouldn't have said killer watches because what they're used for, that's terrible. I apologize for that. I deeply apologize for that. With all of that being said, I don't think you need to stick 100% to the buy it for life mentality because there are items in our life that will inherently not be buy it for life. Technology, for example. A lot of technology becomes obsolete rather quickly, but you don't need to give in to that cycle, that annual cycle or biannual cycle where they say, hey, we have a new phone, you need a new phone, it's got a better camera, it's got a better processor. Ask yourself, do I really need that better camera? Do I really need that better processor? I think you'll find that many times the answer will be no. No, I don't. All I do is search Twitter on my phone. Do I really need a processor that is 1 million times more powerful than the Apollo computer? No. You're looking on Twitter. You're looking on Twitter and taking pictures of your dinner. You don't need a camera that is better than a DSLR or a processor that is better than a desktop computer. In many cases, you don't. So the reason I'm saying this is you can try to break that cycle and get the most use out of the equipment that you've purchased that you can. Get as much use as you can. I'm still using the iPhone 10. I got this in November 2017, and it shows no signs of stopping. No signs of slowing down. I'm going to keep using it until the day it just breaks, just stops working. I did have the battery replaced, but it's still kicking. My computer, I could definitely use a new computer. Would it make my life a little bit easier? Sure. But is my life terrible because I'm using this computer? No. No, it's fine. It's fine. Who cares if it's a little bit slow? No big deal. No sweat off my back. So try to, if you feel like adopting or trying to live this buy it for life philosophy, try to apply the same ideas to items that are inherently not buy it for life. Just get the most use out of the stuff that you buy. Just get your money's worth. It would be silly to spend $1,000 on a phone and then say, okay, well, they released a new one. I'm going to spend another $1,000. Why spend another $1,000 when you can still get 4 years of use out of the phone that you already have? Seems kind of silly to me. And that's pretty much all that I had to say on this topic. It's just something that I've been thinking about a lot over the last year. I had gone down this path years ago, but like I said, I could not afford it financially, and now I have been trying to find ways to get into the buy it for life space without investing $10 million. There you go. I would love to hear from you. What kind of stuff have you found that you use for decades that you've really enjoyed? Is it a phone? Is it a watch? Is it a wallet? Is it a flashlight? Is it a blender? There are entire subreddits dedicated to buy it for life, and they post pictures of their toaster ovens, stuff like that. It's fascinating seeing stuff that people use for decades and get their freaking money's worth and get stuff repaired instead of replacing it. I love it. That's all I wanted to talk about. I guess let's talk about what I've been testing, and you are listening to it. I will start by saying I am on Old Faithful. I am on my good old SM7B, and boy, oh boy, do I love my SM7B. But that's not what I'm testing. I am testing the Presonus Revelator IO24, which is an audio interface that packs in all of the functionality from their Revelator USB microphone, but has XLR combination jack so you can run microphones through all of the processing. And that's what you have been listening to. I have all of the processing being done by this interface and recording direct, and that's what you're hearing. The only thing I'm going to be doing is leveling this to -16 LUFS. Everything else is going to be exactly as it is out of this interface. I'm recording direct, live to tape. I have a high-pass filter, a gate, a compressor, an EQ, and a limiter. And that's it. There you go. I'm going to be doing a review of this very soon. Very, very soon. So keep your eyes open for that. And I guess let's jump to what you had to say. First comment comes from Brownie. They say, to the dude looking at buying mics that match their voice, a lot of stores will rent out mics. You can rent a bunch and try them out and buy the one that you like the best. Brownie, thank you very much for the comment. I don't know if that's still the case with the quote unquote vid, the vid that's going around. I don't know if that's still the case. I also have never heard of this with Guitar Center, which in the States, I don't know if Brownie's in the States or not, but in the States, that's the dominant music chain, the music store chain, where you would go in. They have a pro audio section that has all their mics. I don't know if they allow you to rent microphones. Now, there may be audio gear rental houses. I almost call them rental homes. I don't think that's what they're called. They're rental houses. And they may allow you to rent a bunch of microphones, but I don't think places like Guitar Center allow for that. If they do, somebody tell me. I will happily broadcast that to the world. Hey, Guitar Center lets you rent microphones. Before you buy anything, go to Guitar Center and rent a frickin' microphone and find out if you like it. Because that would be brilliant if people could do that. So thank you very much for that reminder. If people know any stores that do allow for this, leave it in the comments so people on YouTube can find out, oh, I can go rent a microphone from here, find out if I like it before I buy it. Next, we have a comment from Soundspeeds. He says, in the film industry, Post will often use Isotope RX's dialogue match to match ADR to the production sound recording. It's another option to consider, especially if not a Mac user. And Justin says, FabFilter Pro Q does a good EQ match as well. And thank you both very much for that information. I wanted to include that because last week I did an EQ match using a plugin that was native to Logic Pro, which is just in the Mac ecosystem, and our Isotope RX7, RX8, whatever they're on now, excellent plugin suite. And if it's good enough for Hollywood professional post-production, it's good enough for a podcast. And same with FabFilter Pro Q. I don't know why I didn't use that, because I have used that EQ match in the past. I've demonstrated that for somebody, and I don't know why I didn't think of that. And the last comment, sorry I just clicked my mouth like that. I effing hate when people do that, and I am now somebody that I hate. The last comment comes from Hermiel. They say, 452 is a real model number of an AKG pencil condenser microphone from back in the day. Thank you very much for that comment, and this is in regards to last week's episode when somebody sent in a Blackmagic Designs screenshot where they had a microphone, the Rode NT452. I could not find the comments that were pointing this out to me, but they found out where that microphone is from. And I was correct. It is not a microphone from Rode. That microphone is not a leak. It does not exist. They found, I wish I could find the comments, but people found this on some database of free 3D developed models, and it was under professional condenser microphone, something like that. And when you download that, it says Rode NT452. So Blackmagic Designs, instead of designing their own condenser microphone to use in their product shots, they went to some free database of 3D models that have already been developed downloaded professional condenser microphone, made no alterations to it, so the microphone in their product photo says Rode NT452 and went from there. Pretty interesting decision, in my opinion, but what are you going to do? Blackmagic Designs, you do what works best for you. And I have never used the AKG 452. I need to start getting around to the pencil condenser microphones. It's coming up very soon. I have put them off for a bit too long, and we are going to start getting into small diaphragm condenser microphones. Okay, I think that's it. I don't want to do Ask Bandrew this week. I'm feeling a bit lazy. And that's it. I hope you had an amazing week. I know this was different than usual, but like I said, I didn't feel like talking about any depressing news. This is a show that I do for fun, and I want to make sure that it remains fun. And I find this entire concept of Buy It for Life interesting and fascinating and fun to explore and discuss. And I wanted to pass it on and have a bit of fun. I would love to hear what you think. Leave me a comment on YouTube. Send me an email telling me what you think. And I'll talk to you next week. I hope you have an amazing Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Next Sunday, I will talk at you. I love you so much. You're the absolute best. Your week is going to be amazing, and I will talk to you next Sunday. Okay, bye-bye.
This has been a Geeks Rising production. Your executive producer is Bandrew Scott. For more information, head over to www.geeksrising.com.